A pleasant day to everyone. This is the presentation of Group 7 and we will discuss the topic Labor Relations Management. But before anything else, let me introduce myself together with my fellow reporters. I am Princess Andy Herrera.
I am Gemma May Ansi Manabat.
I am Jasmine Pearl T. Gaugel.
I am Joseph Mary P. Macaraeg.
And I am Regimal Gonzalez. And now, moving forward to our PPT, this is our table of contents where you can find and navigate much more easier in our PPT.
At the end of this presentation, we will be able to first define and explain how labor relations could be managed effectively. Second, identify the roles of state, employer, and employee in industrial peace. Third is to familiarize themselves in the labor relations processes as provided in the Labor Code of the Philippines or the Presidential Decree Number 442. And last one is to understand the component of LMC or Labor Management Council as an alternative to labor organizations.
So, for introduction, allow me to introduce our topic today. So, what is labor relation management? So, labor relation management, it is the interaction of employees and the management. It manages the complex issues involving managing the employees' issues, complaints, and concerns that affect their working conditions. Labor relation management started way back in 1901, established by the first labor union in the Philippines, the Union de Impresoras, or UI. It is by a group of printers. Then, the Union Obrera Democrática de Filipinas was created and organized the first ever Labor Day in the Philippines, May 1, 1903, which we still uses as the Labor Day. Now, in our theoretical basis, allow me to discuss it to you. So, in this study, the author abstract and analyze a four set of systems, activities which they believe to be accountable for much of the behavior found in the labor negotiations. The first system, termed as term distributive bargaining, it sparked the competitive behavior to influence the division of limited resources, making the most of what they have. The second being, it increases the joint gain left available to both parties. They are referred to as integrative bargaining. They are problem-solving behaviors. They are commonly used to identify, enlarge, and knock upon the finding of the common interest in both parties. And now, with the third system, it includes affecting the attitudes of people in the workplace. It directly oversees the attitude of the parties toward each other and processes the basic relationship of each other and calls it attitudinal structuring. And now, for the fourth system, it calls for the integral aspect of the inter-party negotiations. It comprises the behavior of the negotiator to achieve the consensus within the organization. The fourth process is also called intra-organizational bargaining. With that being said, each sub-processes must have its own set of instrumental acts or tactics. Therefore, each of the four model chapters is followed by a series of chapters that contains a series of plans and tactics to implement the process. The study aims to strengthen the relation of laborers and have an easier route in managing. This study aims to further deepen the understanding through the relations of labor-related managements. That's all for theoretical basis.
The purpose of labor relations function in the Human Resource Department. The labor relations function in HR focuses on addressing employee concerns, like their working hours, salaries, and other contract terms. According to Muller 2022, labor relations serves as a link or bridge between employees and employers by managing their relationships, ensuring the Human Resource Department the compliance with labor laws, and preventing and resolving conflict within the workplace. The first function of labor relations to Human Resource Department is managing the relationship between employers and employees. Labor relations manage employer-to-employee relationships by ensuring all voices are heard and encourage collaboration between employers, HR, and the unions. Effective labor relations promote open communication, which helps in any miscommunications and will eventually lead to a better workplace. According to Weinstein 2023, labor relations oversee collective bargaining in which it allows unions to negotiate fair terms on behalf of employees or their members, such as when it comes to the working pay, benefits, and working conditions. The second function is to ensure the Human Resource Department the compliance with an updated labor laws, such as the Labor Code of the Philippines, in which according to CHUA 2024, it includes the minimum wage, working hours, overtime pays, employee benefits, labor unions, workers' rights, and employer obligations. Additionally, labor relations offer training and guidance to managers, HR, and employees to help implement fair policies and ensure that everyone understands their rights and responsibilities, which leads to a respectful and compliant workplace. The last function is preventing and resolving conflict. Since labor relations is a sub-function of human resources, it aims to prevent and resolve employee issues. It guides employees, supervisors, and HR professionals in managing conflicts, often through a grievance procedures. A grievance procedure is a structured process for managing conflicts. As Berlin Den 2024 said, an effective and fair grievance procedure benefits both parties by resolving issues immediately. Because when left unresolved, that will be the time that grievances can become the basis for legal action. The advantages and disadvantages of labor unions. But first, what is labor union? According to HREHA 2024, a labor union, or also known as a trade union, is an organization created by workers to represent their collective interests. By coming together, workers gain collective bargaining power, which enable them to negotiate for improved wages, working conditions, job security, and benefits, such as healthcare and retirement plan benefits. Unions are important in labor relations because it gives a chance for employees to voice out certain concerns about work, securing better protections, and encouraging employers to adopt fair practices. The advantages of labor union according to Clawans 2024. There are four. The first is the improved working conditions and job security. Unions help secure better working conditions, including higher wages, benefits, safer environments, and job stability. They also provide support and backup for employees or their members when it comes to negotiations, which makes them feel more secured and safer at work. Second is the protection against discrimination and unfair treatment in the workplace. Unions advocate for workers, specifically those facing discrimination, harassment, or unfair treatment. By enforcing grievance procedures, unions can prevent unlawful terminations and reduce unfair labor practices, making it difficult for union members to be fired without following proper and valid procedures. Third is to gain collective bargaining power for workers. Unions allow workers to join forces, which gives them more bargaining power to negotiate an improved employment term than they would have individually. The last advantage is for employers, the encouragement of better management practices. Unions encourage employers to improve their management by considering or paying attention to employee feedback and suggestions. Research shows that the union workers tend to be more productive when the organization has an effective management and system. Now for the disadvantages of labor unions according to Stevenson 2018. The first two focuses on employees' perspective, and later on I'll tackle the disadvantages when it comes to employers. So the first is labor union is an additional cost for employees. Union membership typically requires a fee, usually 1.5% to 2.5% of a worker's salary. The second one is difficulty in getting promotions. Unionized employees may face challenges when it comes to promotions, as they often involve salary increases, which most employers tend to avoid because employers may be reluctant or hesitate to promote unionized employees and raise their salaries. Moving forward, the perspective of employers. According to CONET 2024, they also view labor unions as a disadvantage due to the three reasons. First, additional costs for employers. Labor unions can be costly for employers as well, as union negotiations often lead to higher payroll costs, such as their demand in higher wages and better benefits for their members. Second, difficulty in terminating employees. Terminating a unionized employee can be a time-consuming and complex legal process. Additionally, in a unionized setting, it follows a union seniority rules over factors like job performances. This can make it difficult for employers to address poor performance, as long-serving employees may have priority for promotions or transfers. Lastly, reduce employer control over HR decisions. Unions can limit an employer's control over HR matters. If in a non-unionized workplace, HR has the final authority over employee relations, when it comes to a unionized environment, decisions often require agreements first between the union, employee, and employer, which reduces the employer's control and authority over workforce management.
Three phases of labor relations process. The labor relation process that produces a union management relationship consists of three phases: union organizing, negotiating a labor agreement, and administering the agreement. In phase 1, a group of employees within a firm may form a union on their own, or an established union may target an employer and organize many of the firm's workers into a local labor union. The second phase constitutes collective bargaining, which is the process of negotiating a labor agreement that provides for compensation and working agreements mutually acceptable to the union and to the management. Finally, the third phase of the labor relations process involves the daily administering of the labor agreement. This is done primarily through handling worker grievances and other workforce management problems that require interaction between managers and labor union officials. The major party involved in labor relations are the trade unions. Trade unions are bodies that represent employee interests in an organization. Unionization in the Philippines. What is unionization? Labor unions are organized to represent the interests of laborers and employees in order to better obtain concessions from the employer through collective bargaining, even through strikes as a last resort. Unionization is the act or process of bringing workers into a labor union, an organization for dealing collectively with employers. It also refers to the process of forming and joining labor unions to promote and protect the rights and interests of workers.
The next topic are the types of unions in the Philippines and the Labor Code of the Philippines on labor relations. Before we proceed on the types of unions, let us first know what is union. A union is a group of employees who come together and utilize the ability to influence decisions at work. Workers are able to negotiate with employers on pay, benefits, job training, workplace health and safety, and other matters from a position of strength through their union. Moreover, unions play a crucial role in ensuring that management treats employees with dignity and equity. Based on the definition, it is an organization that helps and advocates for the rights of every employee. For example, if you are an employee who feels discontented with your salary because your performance and experience deserve more, a union can help. The union can negotiate on your behalf for a raise or better pay, using collective bargaining to secure a fairer compensation for you and your coworkers. Now, let's proceed to the types of unions. First, we have craft union. A craft union is a recognized organization of workers who work in the same trade or craft. These unions members frequently work in the same industry or have similar jobs. In other cases, the formation of craft unions occurs when all members possess a specific skill or ability. An example of this union is a craft union for carpenters or electricians. Next, we have industrial union. Unlike craft unions where employees work in the same craft or trade and all members possess specific skills or ability, in industrial union, it is a combination of all workers, both skilled and unskilled, who are employed in a particular industry. People that operate in the same industry or provide the same kind of industry services form industrial unions. These unions typically represent a single economic sector and all employees in that industry. A practice exclusive to industrial unions is called sectional bargaining. It is the practice of contract discussions that frequently involve several employers within an industry. It is used in situations where specific divisions or sectors within a company or industry have distinct interests or concerns that need addressing. So, for example, in a large multinational manufacturing company where employees are divided into regional branches, the workers in the factory's production department in Region A demand higher hazard pay due to riskier operations, while employees in the administrative department in Region B prioritize flexible working hours. Sectional bargaining allows these groups to negotiate separately with management to address their unique needs and conditions rather than imposing a one size fits all agreement across all departments and locations. Next, we have Public Service Union. It is an organized group of people with jobs that benefit the general public. In a certain public service industry, these unions typically represent people with the same or comparable job type. Although it is often encouraged, membership in these groups is frequently voluntary. Collective bargaining agreements do not change the conditions of a whole industry because they often represent public service occupations within particular sectors, regions, or organizations. Next, federations. An organization of one or more unions is called a federation. They can give their members additional protections and advantages in addition to offering a variety of services and support to unions within the federation or association. So, a federation union or union federation are formed of typically smaller and sector specific trade and labor unions across industries to form a larger organizations. The next type is identity exclusive union. A group of people who are organized and have a common social, cultural, or religious identity is known as an identity exclusive union. These organizations strive to give their members fair salaries, perks, and protections much like labor unions. Sometimes, identity exclusive unions' minimal membership weakens their ability to bargain. As a result, identity exclusive groups have become more prevalent, frequently collaborating with labor unions to enhance workplace equity. So, this type of union is actually not as common in the Philippines compared to more general labor unions, but they exist. An example would be the National Federation of Women Workers, or NFWW. It is a union that addresses the unique needs and concerns of female workers in various sectors. So, the last type of union is the enterprise union. A collective bargaining group that operates inside a single business or firm is known as an enterprise union. These unions are especially prominent in nations like China and Japan because of the historical and cultural emphasis on cooperation between labor and management. In Japan, for example, enterprise unions are seen as a way to promote harmony and industrial peace within companies, focusing on improving conditions and resolving conflicts locally. In China, enterprise unions serve to ensure alignment with state policies, maintaining stability, and promoting economic growth through close relations between workers and government-backed enterprises. The main goal of the enterprise union is to enhance employer-employee relations and give workers employment stability. These unions also push for policy reforms to address systemic issues affecting government employees such as job security and hazard pay. These are examples of unions in the Philippines, each advocating for the rights of every employee in their specific industry but shares the same goal. The next topic we will discuss is the Labor Code of the Philippines on Labor Relations. But first, let's discuss the labor relations. The relationships between employers and workers are referred to as labor relations, especially when it comes to unionized workplaces. So, when we say unionized workplace, it is a workplace where employees have formed a union to represent their interests and negotiate with their employer. It includes negotiating and managing collective bargaining agreements, which are contracts that regulate the terms and conditions of work and are made between the union and the employer. The Philippines has 7 books about labor codes, and Book 5 covers the labor relations. We will not be discussing the labor relations cover to cover, but here are the important details that you should know. The Book 5 of the Philippine Labor Code discusses the rights and obligations of employees, employers, and labor unions, which is dedicated to labor relations. Its main concerns include collective bargaining, worker-employer conflict resolution, union rights, and worker organization. Article 243. Right to self-organization. Workers have the right to form, join, or assist labor unions for collective bargaining. Employees in both private and public sectors can exercise this right with some restrictions for government workers. For example, a group of nurses at the local hospital are facing excessive workloads and understaffing. They can form or join or assist a union to advocate for safer patient ratios, improved working conditions, and better compensation. Article 250 to 253 outlines collective bargaining. Employers are required to negotiate in good faith with the duly recognized labor union regarding wages, hours, and other terms of employment. Collective bargaining agreements, or CBAs, should be registered with the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE. The registration of CBA ensures that the agreement is legally binding and enforceable. The DOLE can also help resolve disputes between the union and the employer if necessary. By registering the CBA, the union and the employer are demonstrating their commitment to fair labor practices and ensuring that the rights of the workers are protected. Article 247 to 248 tackles unfair labor practices. It states there that acts that interfere with the right to self-organization or discriminate against union members are considered unfair labor practices. Examples like employer discrimination against union members or union coercion of employees who do not want to join can create a hostile work environment and prevent workers from exercising their rights to form unions and collectively bargain. The Article 263 to 264 outlines strikes and lockouts. It states there that workers may strike in cases of unresolved bargaining issues or unfair labor practices, provided legal requirements are met. Meaning to say that as long as legal procedures are followed, workers may resort to strikes as a last resort when negotiations with employers fail or when unfair labor practices persist. Employers may also declare a lockout for similar reasons. Employers can implement a lockout by physically barring employees from entering the workplace or by refusing to provide work assignments. This can involve changing locks, hiring security guards, or simply refusing to allow employees to clock in. The goal is to pressure the union to accept the employer's terms, often by causing financial hardships or hardship to the workers. And the last one, both parties must notify DOLE and follow mandatory mediation and conciliation procedures. So these are processes used to resolve labor disputes peacefully. They involve a neutral third party, often a government official or a trained mediator who facilitates communication between the union and the employer. Its goal is to prevent labor disputes from escalating into strikes or lockouts and to promote harmonious labor relations. So before we proceed, let us first define strike and lockout. So strike is any temporary stoppage in work brought on by an organized effort by the workers due to a labor or industrial dispute. On the other hand, lockout is when an employer temporarily refuses to provide labor due to an industrial or labor dispute. So before we proceed, let us first briefly define the different forms of strikes. So first, we have legal strike. It is called for a valid purpose and carried out using permitted by law methods. Next, we have illegal strike, one that is organized for an illegal purpose or if it has an appropriate goal, still it is achieved using illegal methods. Next, we have economic strike, one organized by employees to pressure their employer into paying them more or making other financial concessions that the law does not mandate. Next, we have the ULP strike. So they present evidence against the employer's unfair practices included in Article 248 of the Labor Code, as altered, which include gross union busting and the violations of the Collective Bargaining Agreement or CBA. Next, we have the slowdown strike. It is staged by simply lowering or slackening the workers' regular work rather than them leaving their jobs. Next, we have the wildcat strike. It is announced and carried out without the authorized bargaining agent's majority consent or the necessary notice of strike. It is also an example of illegal strike. And then the last one, we have the sit-down strike, in which employees quit working yet remain at their workplace. So let us proceed now to the Article 261 to 262, labor disputes. So the labor disputes, like disagreements between labor unions and workforce managers, are resolved through mediation, voluntary arbitration, or the National Labor Relations Commission or the NLRC. The Secretary of Labor may assume jurisdiction over disputes that affect national interest. So the NLRC has the authority to issue decisions regarding labor disputes, and its rulings can be appealed to the Court of Appeals. The next is the Article 234 to 245. So this is all about how registration of unions is required for legal recognition. Unions are expected to operate democratically and financial transparency is mandated. The registration provides a framework for ensuring that unions operate democratically, responsibly, and in accordance with the law. So the last topic is the Article 227 to 228. It is all about the conciliation and mediation. The DOLE assists in resolving labor disputes through conciliation and mediation to prevent strikes or lockouts. So as I have said earlier, mediation and conciliation are processes used to resolve labor disputes peacefully by a third party. But the difference is that compared to conciliation, mediation is a less formal procedure. The mediator does not have the power to make official rulings or orders in contrast to a conciliation panel. So those are the things that you should remember on the labor codes of the Philippines on labor relations.
Labor relations have traditionally been characterized by the separation between management and labor organizations. However, the exposure of the Labor Management Council, or LMC, offers an alternative way of improving workplace relationships. So, what is the Labor Management Council? A Labor Management Council is a collaborative body that consists of representatives from both management and employees. Its primary goal is to enhance communication, cooperation, and problem solving between the two parties. Unlike traditional labor organizations that often operate on a confrontational basis, LMCs focus on mutual interests and shared goals, creating a more supportive environment for collaboration. Labor Management Councils, or LMCs, are usually created with input from important people on both sides. They meet regularly to talk about various topics such as workplace safety, employee well-being, improvements in productivity, and changes within the organization. Let's proceed to the objectives of Labor Management Council, or LMC. First is enhancing communication. Labor Management Council improves communication between management and employees. LMCs create structured opportunities for management and employees to engage in open communication. Regular meetings allow both parties to voice their concerns, share insights, and discuss issues that may affect the workplace. The next one is the problem solving. Labor Management Council provides a structured forum for addressing workplace issues like employee welfare, safety concerns, and productivity improvements. It can create a platform where both management and employee representatives can come together to identify problems and develop solutions. The last one is addressing non-economic issues. Unlike the labor organizations that only focus on economic issues like wages, benefits, and inside matter, LMC has the ability to address non-economic issues such as workplace culture, work-life balance, and health and safety that create a more supportive workplace environment. Next, we will compare the differences of Labor Management Council and traditional labor organizations. So, how they are different with each other. First is the structure. Labor Management Council. These councils are made up of both management and employee representatives. Their structure promotes teamwork and shared decision making. While in traditional unions have a more hierarchical structure with elected leaders who represents the interests of their members, usually organized by specific trades or industries. The next one is their goals. Labor Management Council, the primary goal is to foster cooperation between management and employees, aiming to enhance workplace conditions and resolve issues together. while in traditional, their goal is to advocate for workers' rights, seeking improvements in wages, benefits, and working conditions. Next is the focus on issues. Labor Management Council, they address a range of workplace concerns including safety and productivity, fostering a positive work environment for everyone. While in traditional, their focus is primarily on issues affecting workers directly, such as pay and job security. The last one is when it comes to decision making. Labor Management Council decisions are made collaboratively with both management and labor contributing to discussions and solutions. While in traditional, decisions are typically made by elected leaders, but significant issues are often voted by the membership. To sum it up, labor management councils provide several advantages as an alternative to traditional labor organizations. They promote teamwork and open communication between management and employees, fostering trust and collaborative problem solving. This approach reduces conflicts and boosts employee involvement, creating a more flexible workplace. As work environments continue to evolve, labor management councils are expected to play a key role in shaping future labor relations by supporting diversity and adapting to new work arrangements. Overall, Labor Management Council represents a positive model that emphasizes cooperation and shared success in the workplace.